Hello there, and thanks for taking the time to visit my channel. So, why am I here? Well, I've spent the best part of 20 years in a purchasing environment. And whether you call it procurement, buying or purchasing, you'll have likely have had a situation where you've been uncertain and probably concerned as to how you will make the correct choices. I've seen procurement done well, but I've also seen not how to procure goods and services. And it is very easy to make a mistake if you don't ask yourself the correct questions up front. Searching the internet, it was apparent that there isn't a great deal of online advice for UK SMEs, businesses that don't have a procurement department or even speak the procurement language. Procurement can often be viewed as a boring and sometimes complicated practice to apply to a business. This really isn't the case. Even as a small business, there are some very simple steps that you can take for your business to prepare your team so that they know which questions to ask themselves when committing to business purchases. I'm now going to tell you my personal top 5 procurement tips. I could have made this list a top 50, but my aim is to provide you with some bite-sized pieces to digest. This doesn't need to be complicated. Simply sign up to my channel to be sure that you receive further free procurement guidance from me, and feel free to suggest any specific areas where you feel you need support with your business on purchasing decisions. I'll try to cover them in future videos. Now, my top 5 tips are titled People, Need, Planning, Communication and Process. You can skip to the relevant section for you by using the bar below the video on your screen. Number 1, people matter most. Never underestimate the value of people and nurturing good relationships whilst procuring your goods and services. Since I started working in procurement, it has become increasingly important to develop the relationships with people within your network. These people can be anyone with a vested interest in the outcome of your procurement-led activities, and therefore whatever the job role, they're very important to you. You may hear them called stakeholders, business partners, customers or colleagues. Whatever their position, always consider the following points. All of these people have a mutual desire to succeed, so take the time to understand what their requirements are. This way, they will take the time to consider your ideas. These people will have the skills and experience that you can harness to add value to your activities. Good buyers can identify and include the most appropriately skilled people to help increase the business's competitive advantage. Always check internally for skills before outsourcing, as it can be very expensive. Listen to people more often and for longer. A good listener will always discover more about the business and what will make it perform. All feedback is good feedback. If you can evaluate both the good and the bad aspects of the business by getting feedback from staff, suppliers and customers, you will be able to navigate a path to a successful outcome by understanding these strengths and weaknesses. Encourage honesty and transparency from the people you work with. Plus, also ask yourself where you can improve business sourcing activities. Remember, it's okay to admit our failures as they support us to build our strategy, helping the business to become stronger. Always embrace change. Procurement activity will often lead to change, and as a rule, nobody likes change. So building this trust and connecting makes people more open to your ideas and suggestions. If you connect, then they'll also be more willing to step outside their comfort zone and support your plans. These relationships that you build won't happen overnight. Take the time to understand each person's different personality, their ways of working, and what gets the best results from them. Also try to consider the impact of each business purchasing decision you will make and what it will have on each group of people that it relates to. For example, if you're automating a process with new technology, it may impact someone's workload and job security. So remember to be considerate, but don't let progress be influenced by your emotions. You will need to change things as you develop the business. Best practice procurement should always move things forward and be innovative. To help you understand the people that influence your purchasing decisions, you may well wish to create a register, and this will list the people involved on any given project. You can mark down any identified enablers who have shown that they're very positive to support you, plus any blockers that might prove harder to convince that your ideas are valid. There may be groups of enablers that you specifically target and use your influence on to sell the benefits to the other members of the project team. Always give people an opportunity to speak and share their views. Inclusion always builds trust. Remember that there will often be people involved that initially disagree with your decisions, though if you explain the reasons and the benefits very clearly and in their language, they'll often understand. Getting to know these people and keeping your communication channels open will make you more approachable. This will also smooth the path towards your goals. It will also make your job more enjoyable as you get to meet some very interesting people on the way. These same people will also help you to raise the profile of procurement, which, let's face it, isn't a priority in some businesses. So, we now know the people involved and what they can do to support us. Number 2, determine your needs, and these are not your wants. I often see businesses making the decision to purchase their goods or services without truly understanding the real business requirements. We always must consult the business first. The best place to go for the real business requirements will be the end users who fully understand what the goods and services need to do. The first thing I usually do when meeting a new client is to ask them what their objective is. Now, quite often they haven't given this enough thought. So typical questions I might ask are, do I definitely need this now? Who uses this the most? What is the purpose of this investment? Can we live without it? Is there an alternative solution? Could I downgrade the specification? Does it need to be a branded product? I often find it's best practice to write a mission statement together with my clients that clearly defines the objective of the project. This way, if anyone involved feels they're going off on a tangent, they can refer back to the statement to bring them back on track. Never lose focus on your key objectives, plus always remember that a low cost isn't necessarily demonstrating value. You may want to reduce your costs, but how will this impact the delivery and the service performance? Determine what your key drivers are. What is driving my project? For example, I want to maintain the quality of my product, but I need to save a good 5%. We now know what it is that we need. Number 3, plan well. There's not one single business I've worked in that couldn't have planned better. That's not a put down, we can all plan better. There's nothing more frustrating when we have the opportunity to succeed and we ruin our chance of glory by planning poorly. Now, as a buyer, it's important to spend the time required to properly assess the requirements. There are a range of templates available online for free to do this. One tool you can use is a Gantt chart. It's an easy tool to use to set a timeline for your project. This advises key project milestones, how long you will need resources, and helps you to set your budget. You should also define the roles and responsibilities within the project team. If we all understand the roles and what is expected, we will succeed. It also highlights if our timelines and resources are realistic. Most projects that fail are because of unrealistic expectations. Remember that the plan is an ever-evolving thing, not a fixed set of instructions. The reality is that you often have to adapt and change the plan accordingly. We now understand our plan towards achieving the objective. Number 4, structure your communications. Without carefully planned, transparent communications, you may as well just give up. You must know your stakeholder groups and understand the best way to communicate to them. Different people respond to different methods. So email might be fine for a general group update, for example, though if you know the people involved well enough, there may be some that simply don't read emails at all. So set up a face-to-face or a Skype meeting if required. Remember that there are likely to be varying requirements in relation to who needs to know what. So be considerate and don't waste time in meetings telling people from HR what the marketing team's detailed activities are. Split meetings out if necessary. This is very important if we want to keep people interested and motivated in our project. There's also nothing worse than taking time out for a meeting that is repeating what you've already been told, so be considerate there as well. Set up a communications plan to manage this step. This plots the daily, weekly, monthly comms plus key milestones for important updates that need to be shared with the wider audience. Remember, if we don't keep people informed, then they'll lose interest in your activities. You'll likely need to delegate some tasks on the way. This isn't easy at times, though if you set out the roles and responsibilities early on, you'll probably know where and when you need this support. A responsibility assignment chart, often called a RACI chart, can help you to understand the different levels of communication required throughout the project and with whom. So this chart advises us who is R, responsible, A, accountable, C, consulted, and I, informed. So for example, we may only inform the senior management team a few times during the entire process, but we should ensure that this is done at a time where we can report positive, tangible results. Set this up correctly and you should have everything covered from a communication viewpoint. You can download the RACI chart by simply searching online. Now at this point we know who to communicate to and when. Number 5, establish good processes. A well-considered set of processes that have been agreed with the business end users will help you to execute the required activities in a fraction of the time. For example, in an instance where you've identified that you require a new service, you need to agree the process with which you will select the most appropriate solution. This will often mean following a company policy or guide that tells you the preferred steps and considerations for such an activity. If there isn't anything available internally, go online for templates or consider looking at outsourced solutions that work to well-established processes. If you're setting these up for the first time yourself, then speak to suppliers or, if appropriate, well-established customers for advice. I've already stressed the importance of people. Now, the process you use must relate to the people that are touched by each stage of that process. Consult them well and include them wherever possible. Get them to test your process and try to break it. They will appreciate this, is that this process will often form part of their daily work routine. In procurement, personally, I find it just as fulfilling to simplify a process for an end user as I do as saving the business money. If you dedicate time to completing this process review with your business, you'll often find that you build some strong relationships because of it. Now, these processes will be reviewed and updated over time, incorporating new ways of working and new technology. Often your competitors will have had access to the same technology, so it could well be your process that really provides that competitive advantage. So spend the time you need to on it. If they mean you can reduce the time taken to quote a customer or to ship out products sooner, then this will improve the perception of your business as a high performer. We now understand the process that guides us towards the solution. So, to review. 1, we know the people involved and what they can do to support us. 2, we're confident of what it is we actually need. 3, we understand the plan towards achieving the agreed objective. 4, we know who to communicate to and when to do it. 5, we understand the process that guides us towards the preferred solution. So that's my top 5 procurement tips. Thank you very much for listening. If you embed these procurement practices into your business, you should see some very good results, plus an increase in morale by encouraging and connecting people. Always remember to include people, praise them for their efforts, and above all, try and make it fun. You can give me feedback or request content for future videos by emailing me on neilhudson@theprocurementman.com. And please do contact me to discuss your procurement plans, and remember to sign up to my channel. I'll be back with another video soon, simplifying procurement for your peace of mind. Goodbye.